How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming, and today we're going to be playing Floodland. This is a game developed by Vile Monarch and published by Ravenscourt. It's a strategy post-apocalyptic survival colony sim game, and it reminds me of RimWorld, but instead of more emergent gameplay, it has a handcrafted story scenario feel to it, which is really neat. And I love the art style. It has a really good kind of vibe to it. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of world where the world has been flooded and technologies have been lost. And it's got a lot of really interesting features that I want to go over. And let's just take a look at the backgrounds that we can see here really quickly. Isn't that beautiful? I think that's really cool. Anyway, right now I'm in a game that I've played for a few hours, and let's just go over the UI real quick so that you can have an idea of what we're looking at. So this is my settlement down here, and you start in this little area. You start on this little island with these guys. You can select different, I guess, races of people. These are the Good Neighbors race, I think, or the Pathfinders. Maybe, yeah, these are the Pathfinders. I've gone through some of the tutorials, and so I've got an idea of how to play the game, and I'll try to fast forward that information to you right now. So looking at the UI, we have the settings. Here is the basic settings. I feel like they're convenient and they're appropriate and they're sufficient and pretty simple, straightforward, good menus. I like the UI as well. The music's great. Right here we see the community size. So this is the number of population you have. Your population will work jobs in all of these various buildings as you build them, and they will produce resources, and it's kind of like a resource management little sim. The number in parentheses is the number of people who are doing nothing. At the beginning of the game, you'll have a lot of idle citizens, but at a certain point, you're going to keep them all working. The next thing you have is your influence, and as you add recreation, it goes up. If you impose laws, it goes down. Whenever you make any sort of action as a leader, some people are not going to be happy, and you'll create unrest, and then some people will be very happy. So it's just kind of a give and take, and you kind of got to make your best judgment on what's going to be best for the entire civilization going forward. The next resource to look at is the research, and this is how much knowledge you've regained. I say regained because we are in the future and everything has kind of been blasted back into the Stone Age, which is really neat. And you can unlock research by building buildings. In this case, it's the study, and you assign workers to do academic debate. The buildings have multiple modes, which is really neat. So the modes that we have for this one are standard, academy, and academic debate. The standard mode uses one of the resources in the game called the old world relics, and it basically converts those old world relics into quick research. So it's like reverse engineering, sort of. The next thing is the academy, which will allow you to upgrade your civilians so that they have specialized abilities and tasks, like they're really good at foraging, so that allows you to use them in other buildings like this. And right here for this example, I've upgraded a worker to have a fortitude specialization, which allows them to operate a forager house. And the final one is academic debate. And this is probably the one you're going to keep it on most of the time when you don't have books or old world relics. It basically generates a passive amount of research, and that's how you're going to advance the storyline going forward, because you're going to add it to your technology level. We're going to look at the technology, but let's continue going over the resources real quick so you know what the UI is. The next resource you see is risky food. Now, risky food will only be consumed when there is no safe food to eat, and if your civilians eat risky food, they have a high chance of becoming poisoned. And I've already lost a couple of sims to being poisoned at the early game because I was unawares as to how the game operated. If you have safe food to eat, your civilians will eat the safe food and they won't get sick. If they do get sick, there's a good chance they'll die unless you have medications. So medications, basically the antidote to being sick. So if I were to build a fishing dock where there are no fish, well, you get no fish. Same thing goes for the sorting lodge, which is brings us to the next resource I want to talk about, is the rubbish. Now the rubbish is like your starter tier 1 material. And this is a sorting lodge, which is an upgraded one. It starts off in rubbish mode, which lets you gather these rubbish. And then as you upgrade them, it unlocks rubble mode. Rubble is the next one. It's like your tier 2 material. And these tier 1 and tier 2 materials are used to produce buildings. And to make buildings, you can click over here on the bottom and on the hammer, and you can select a building you want to build and place it down. It shows you the cost in the bottom right there. As you unlock things in the tech tree, more stuff will become available inside of these 4 tabs. The next resource I want to go over is potable water. There's no shortage of water, and while it does rain, all the water needs to be filtered in order for it to be used. So you create these water stills and you employ workers to create potable water. It'll tell you your production. And if we have 30 community sides and we're producing 21.9 a day, we'll need 2 of them. So we have 2 of them. We have a surplus, and what we can do is, since we're near the cap of how much we can hold, we can take a worker off. So all buildings that produce resources will require people to work there, and the management sim part of the game will have you shuffling your workers around. So I see that I'm almost capped on how much potable water I can have available. And so I don't need to keep producing such a surplus. I'll take 1 worker off and I'll put them somewhere else where I can get other resources. So I'm gonna move him over here to a small storage. Now the storage is going to be the first thing that you upgrade a building into. Your first campsite will become a small storage. And after you do that, well, all of the people who were living in that campsite get evicted. So you'll have a bunch of homeless people. So you'll have to make tents. So you'll quickly use rubbish to make tents, and then they'll have a place to live. At a certain point, when you go through the tech tree, you upgrade those tents into shacks, and the shacks hold more people. If you're lucky, your map will spawn with some searchable areas, and if you click on this little area over here, you'll see that it's a renovated house. That's because it used to be a rundown house, and it had some supplies in it. I sent a search party out to survey it. We gathered resources from it, and then we were able to upgrade it so that it will house 5 people. Early on, it was very useful. At this point, I have plenty of housing and it's not an issue. I need more people is what I need. The game has really good tutorials, and at the beginning of the scenario, it teaches you how to search and explore, and to do that, you click on this little flag and you select an area. And so if I were to click right here, it would send a search party out to gather these resources that we have down here. So you can see it sent them out. They went over to the berry bush. They're going to chop down this tree, and they're going to walk back to the supply depot, the small storage, and it will drop off those resources and they'll be added to your reserves at the top. The next resource to talk about is books, and that's something you'll use when you go to the academy. You'll need 3 books to start researching and upgrading your civs to do specialized tasks. Then we have herbs, which you can find by exploring. There's a bunch of herbs right here. We can gather those. Send a guy out to go get them. They come back and you can use these in certain buildings. I haven't unlocked all the buildings yet, but you can make the buildings to turn herbs into medications and other things later on. As I go forward in the game, more resources appear. So I imagine there'll be a lot more that just start appearing on this top menu. Right now, just recently, I upgraded the radio tower, and I noticed that now I have batteries on my resource area. So I can use these batteries on the reclaimed radio tower that I just got. I don't want to spoil the story too much, but basically this scenario has you trying to restore power to this old factory over here, this rundown factory, and we have to do a bunch of things to get to that point. And the next point that I'm at is, after restoring this radio tower, is to find people over here, and in order to do that, I need to build boats that will go across. And so I have to utilize all the resources on this starter island to unlock the technology needed to build the things that will get me off of this island. And it's a really cool little gameplay loop. And it seems pretty easy to understand once you go through the tutorial, but it takes a little while. I'm glad they included the game speed mode, you can see what day I'm on. I've played 100 days. I think I had a lot of wasted time at the beginning learning how to play, but I think that's perfectly fine, especially in this scenario. They give you a lot of leeway to not mess up. One way you could mess up is not providing enough food and having all of your guys die from food poisoning and starvation, which I'm sure can happen, so there are lose conditions. But like I said, more resources will open up as you make more progress in the game. Lockpicks is one of them that you can find. I used it on this ruined store here. It was locked, but inside there was a bunch of different things, including rope. And I saw that you can use rope in other areas too, like for example, the decayed ruins. To search it, I would have to get there with boats first, but then I would need ropes to do it. So I found a rope so I'd be able to get this old world relic, which will give me quick research and some medicine, and I'll get a lockpick back, which is what I used to get this rope in the first place. So it made sense to do that, and that's what I did. So as you progress, you'll see issues pop up. On the right-hand side, you'll see that there's different icons. The bell is different issues. Like right now, it tells us that we have buildings that aren't operational. I know about this. I don't need to harvest more rubbish or rubble, so I've moved my workers to other places. So this was automatically named Duck Site. As you build more storages and expand, you'll probably have different districts, but it shows you all of the buildings in that area at a glance, which is nice. In the bottom left section, you have your clan profile, which is a really neat thing to check out. It gives you a lot of information right on the same screen, your entire clan experience. This goes up as you research in the academy. You also have specific leader traits and clan traits that you can see here. And then you have clan profiles that would make it maybe your clan needs more food than average or something, or they have better health or weaker health, and this will be like your stats. This is kind of like straight down the line, no bonuses, no penalties type of clan called the Good Neighbors. And this is kind of like our alignment system. There's Liberty and Unity that are opposed, and then there's Old World and New World that are opposed. And as you impose laws and build certain things, you will move these things either towards Liberty or Unity or Old World and New World. As you advance in technology, you'll be more towards the New World, and as you apply more laws, you'll push your clan down closer to Unity. More restrictions, probably more Unity, and more recreation with less restriction, probably more Liberty. And this is like your alignment. Now, unrest is a little mechanic that will cause your people to become violent and will cause them to have outbursts and stuff. And right now, at the beginning, it's very peaceful. You don't really have any laws. Everyone's just trying to survive. So they're trying to get along as best as possible. No unrest has happened. Usually when you impose laws, you'll see unrest rise. Recreation, satisfaction 0%, influence per day. We don't have any recreation. We're still at the beginning of the game, even though I'm on day 105. It takes a little while to get the hang of things. Then we have these little red icons here. This is like the clan's thoughts on these things. So the clan doesn't want craft workshops, and they don't want pillories. This specific clan. And if you do these two things, then it will create unrest for this clan. And other clans, it may not. I haven't checked all of them out yet. Moving to the next thing, clan relations. Since I'm the only clan I know about on this map, I haven't unlocked this yet. But clicking on technology will show you how this technology tree works. So you start right here, and then you upgrade using research points, which we've gone over, to upgrade to rubbish level. And then your rubbish level buildings upgrade to wood, which goes to rubble, planks, so forth and so on. And you're going to be using research to upgrade all of these. So you really want to build a study soon and look for those old world relics and just have people on it at all times upgrading. This is the basic, like, what tier is your civilization in. So this is like your 10 tiers of where are you in civilization. And then you have 5 in the middle here, which is power plant, key pass, blueprints, reclaim turbine, power relay, and transformer. And I would imagine you need all of these to complete the scenario or to complete getting you back into the new world. But this is just what tier you're on, and upgrading this will unlock various things in the 4 other subcategories, growth, survival, exploration, and well-being. And if you click on them, you'll see that they have their own entire skill trees. And I've unlocked some of these things, but there's a whole lot to this game that I've only scratched the surface. And if you click on something, for example, if I were to click on the lumber mill here, it has a really cool thing called requirements at the bottom, and it'll tell you what you need in order to get to that point. So this is what it would cost if you were to unlock it. This is the production, what it would do. It will turn wood into planks, which you use to build boats and stuff, which I'll need to do very soon. In order to make a lumber mill, we have to research it first. So we would need scrap level, which means we need to take planks to scrap, and then we need to develop a wood cutting station. So that would be this thing first. And if you were to click on these things, it would take you directly to them. So it's really cool that it has that jump to what you need link inside the UI. The UIs are really good. So this will be the next thing that I need to develop. I will need a wood cutting station. I've got the planks developed, and I need 15 more research to unlock the wood cutting station. Once I do, I'll spend this building cost, wood and rubble, to turn my wood into planks. So I probably had a little bit of a slow start because I was learning the game. I imagine if you were to play 100 days, you'd probably be much farther than I am. But 100 days in, I'm still trying to figure out planks. The game does have an autosave functionality, which you can toggle how often that happens. I'm gonna fast forward a bit. I think I've done a decent job of maintaining the economy. I've got enough food for people, enough water for people, and as it goes down, I'll put another worker back on, and as my food goes down, I'll have more people on fishing and more cooking and whatnot. So I'll kind of fast forward a little bit, trying to get some more research. I need to make sure that I keep enough people on the study. I could probably build a secondary study and move some people off of the small storages. It wouldn't be a terrible idea to do that. In order to build a study, you click on the buildings, and we'll go over and find another study. Under growth, we'll click on study, and I'll place the study somewhere. Placing a building is pretty straightforward and easy. And then people will run to that building from the nearest storage, and they'll go and start building it. I recently unlocked the technology to upgrade my storages, and I do have the stuff to do it, so I'm gonna upgrade my storages since I've made a surplus over these 100 days. So I can see that I'm running out of food over here. I've over-farmed this area. When you do that, it might be a good idea to reduce the amount of workers you have in that area to give the land a certain amount of time to regrow. And instead what I'll do is I'll employ that person over here on the fishing lodge. So instead of gathering berries, I'm gonna have him move and work on the fishing dock and bring in more food that way, because we're gonna need to keep the food coming in, and we do have 2 places to cook the fish. Now when we harvest fish, it's going to be risky food, but we can turn risky food into perfectly safe food if we use the field kitchen. So I need to move some of the people away from the forager's house for just a little bit, put them on fishing and on cooking in the field kitchen. So I'll take one person off of here and we'll put him on the kitchen, turning that risky food into safe, healthy food. From time to time, you'll get little pop-ups from your advisor, Lily Kapoor. We've built a secondary study. We're gonna go into the mode and change it into academic debate. Now all we have to do is provide the people to upgrade our research. So this might be a good idea in the long run to have our resource stockpiles a little bit low on people. Maybe just have one person and the ones that aren't doing very much. And we'll send them over here as researchers. We'll put all of our researchers over here, double up our research and reduce the amount of time it takes. So now we'll be getting 2 research a day. So we have 16 now. Let's click on our tech tree. So I'm gonna upgrade the wood cutting station to make some planks. So that's what we're gonna do. Now we have the ability to make the wood cutting station. So we can click on buildings, click on the wood cutting station, and we'll place it down somewhere, probably by where we have all the wood. I imagine it doesn't really matter too much, but they will have to traverse a resource stockpile back and forth. They're not gonna take wood from the forest here. that's going to be done by the loggers. And since we started this wood processing plant, we're going to need to bring this back up since all of the trees have regrown. A lot of these resources are renewable and they come back over time, but if you over farm them, then it will reach to 0. So I think a good idea might be drop down a couple of researchers just to have enough to bring in some lumber. Now this is going to require that we have specialization. So we do have 3 books, which is what we'll need. So why don't we take this building mode of the study and put it in Academy, and we'll have somebody bring books in here and they'll use the books to upgrade the clan's knowledge. And as we do that, we'll be able to provide specializations like the discipline and the precision. This is the general workers. Once we upgrade the clan, we'll be able to provide special workers. It will consume these books rather quickly over the course of a few days, and we'll probably convert this back. All right, so that worked. We are able to upgrade our specialization. So for discipline, you'll get an idea of what it does right here. This is for scrap cutting, woods, rubble, coal, etc. And this one for soybeans and plastic, probably later on we want precision. So we'll go ahead and upgrade this now. Improve our specialization. And let's go ahead and provide a specialist. We still need to provide a worker. So we'll take some worker from another place. Let's see. Our water's looking good again. Our food is looking okay. We're going to be needing that and that. So I think I'll take one. I don't like taking our researchers off, but we do need to start producing this new resource of planks. And you see, as we unlock this building, a new icon showed up and a new resource just kind of popped in right here that we didn't see at the beginning. So that's pretty cool. Now we have planks that we can use to build certain things. What I would like to research is the search and explore boats. It will require that I've developed the lumber mill. So I need to do that as well, which is 20. But this also requires that I have scrap unlocked, which requires 30. So we sort of need 30 plus 20 plus, I think it was 15, in order to get to the next point. Once you get to this point in this scenario, it does require quite a lot of study in order to reach this flooded factory, to reach more people. But everything is here to create a sustainable civilization, at least for a good while, if you maintain it right. You know, if you don't over harvest and you have multiple ways to get certain things, you can stockpile things and upgrade your storages. Finding people will be the hardest part, but once you're able to explore more of the map, you'll be able to bring more people into your community. Overall, I think this is a really cool game. Big shout out to Lucy and Raven's Court and Vile Monarch. You guys are awesome. Keep doing it. If you guys liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, like, favorite, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Come hang out with us in the Discord. We have a link in the description where you can get this game on Steam, also to our Discord. And you could back us on Patreon if you want to do that. We have a Patreon. Love you guys very much. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.